call Josh Wozbutsky. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
How are you this morning?
All good, thank you. How are you? Beautiful weather in Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney is nice, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful today.
I lived in Sydney for 4 years. I lived there.
Oh, wow. Whereabouts? Which side?
Penkville and Bondi. Yeah, Bondi, Penkville and Old South Head Road.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, on the corner there. Very good. You, which side you live?
Yeah, North Bondi. Very lucky. Beautiful part of the world.
Mariah?
Sorry?
Went to Mariah.
Yeah, all my life.
Mariah boy. I used to come into Mariah.
Oh, great. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Don't hold it against me.
Okay. I have a meeting at 10, like in 20 minutes. So I'm just gonna if I leave, it's not because I'm not enjoying it.
Because I said something bad. Okay. Look, you came back today. I didn't stay away yesterday. Okay.
I'm trying to get it for you.
Okay, no worries. Welcome to Chelsea. Good morning, Chelsea.
Good morning.
Oh, you look comfortable there.
I am. I just walked past the Awesome Center. I never saw your car there.
No, it's here. It's here.
Yeah.
Rob, what are the first few words on the page?
As for me.
Hebrew.
Oimer, ואני קרבס אלוהים לטוב.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready? I don't have with me my regular reader, Josh. Do you want to take over today?
No.
Oh, come on, help me out.
Okay, fine.
Otherwise, it won't be interactive.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Okay, so we're starting for a person.
For a person to be entitled to this good, it's only appropriate that he first labor and make the effort to acquire it.
Oh, slow. Give people to follow. Yeah. Okay, go.
For a person to be entitled to this good, it is only appropriate that he first labor and make the effort to acquire it. This means that he must try to cleave to the Blessed One through deeds that will lead to this goal. These deeds are the mitzvahs.
Okay, so it's saying we spoke about the good being a person achieving his capabilities. When a person achieves what he's good at, that's called reaching the good. And he's pointing out here that the way to do that is a person has to put effort. As we pointed out yesterday, to be a great athlete takes a lot of effort. No one becomes a great athlete just from sitting at home on the couch. You have to put a lot of effort into it. They say about Muhammad Ali that a boxer, for those that don't know, you see I'm very worldly. Anyway, so Muhammad Ali, he was he hated training. He said that if he didn't put his shoes by his bed and he had to look for his shoes, he would not get up to train. But obviously he went through that training and developed the skills and became the best boxer in the world at the time. So that success only came through a lot of hard work that he put in, even though naturally he was obviously a very good boxer, but that's not what made him the great boxer he became. The great boxer he became was through the effort of training, and he knew that. And he knew that he also hates training. So he knew that he has to find different ways of making sure that he has no excuse to not train. You see that I'm just pointing this out because we see that to really succeed in life, it requires effort. To really do things well, it requires effort. It requires a battle. It's not natural. It's not, oh, I'll just go about my life and I'll be a great person. It's not how it works. Anything to be successful in any area, you have to put effort into it, and you have to work hard. And talent is not good enough for it. Talent is definitely a step in the right direction, and you should use, if you have talent, you should try and use that talent for whatever it is. But it's not going to be good enough to have that talent. That's going to be okay to get through life, but it's not going to be okay for it to become great in life. Just as an example, you have a situation where a person is in a marriage. A person gets married, and when a person gets married, you ask them what type of marriage do you want, and people will not say, oh, yeah, I want a mediocre relationship. I'm happy just with a mediocre relationship. It's not how it works. People want to have great relationships. And in order for us to have a great relationship, we have to put effort into it, right? No one just wants a mediocre relationship. So that's just an example. Nothing in life just comes to you. If it's a relationship, if it's becoming a better person, great things come to people through a lot of effort, thought, time. That's what provides us success in what we do and makes us into great people. And I think that's essential for us to all constantly remember and remind ourselves. Even just being a happy person requires effort. A person is not naturally always happy. He has to put effort into being happy, and that means think positively and so on. So there's effort involved in all these things that a person wants to achieve and become good at will require that effort. Okay. Keep going, Josh.
Fantastic. Yet the Holy One, blessed be He, has placed man in circumstances where many factors can distance him from the Blessed One, these being bodily desires. For if one is drawn toward them, he progressively distances himself from the ultimate good.
Right. So what is pointing out here is that we said it requires effort. And if I ask you, what's the effort it requires? What's the relationship require effort? If you look at anything, like we just pointed out, it requires effort. Why does it require effort? Because our natural situation is to not put effort into things, because we have desires. If a person can't be bothered. If it's in a relationship, I can't be bothered making effort, writing a nice letter to my wife and telling her how much I appreciate her work. Because why? Because I can't be bothered to do it. Why? I'm lazy. Example. The laziness is something that will prevent a person from achieving what they have to achieve. A person to take care of his health, to go exercise. Why is it so hard to keep our exercise going? Because a person is in the middle of watching a movie on Netflix, whatever. A person is busy with different things that take away from him. Why is it hard for you to get up in the morning and get going? Because last night at 11:45, before you got into bed, you picked up your phone and started looking at Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, and you said you can only look for 5 minutes, and before you know it, it's 1:45 and you're still looking at things, filling up your brain with rubbish, and now you have to go to sleep and you have to wake up motivated the next morning. Now, that's going to be a challenge. Why? Just because you had a desire or a want or a drive to just look what everyone's up to and what's happening in their life and so on. So we see this amazing idea that God created this world where there will be constantly things distancing you from your growth, and so too connecting to your spirituality. I'll point out an interesting thing. It's a little bit of a tangent, but hopefully it's okay. I'm speaking to a black screen, so no one could tell me if they mind or not. Anyhow, but the thing is like this. When we talk about spirituality, so people come up to you and they say, I don't feel anything spiritual. I don't feel spirituality. I don't feel connected to my Judaism. And an interesting point about that is sometimes I also don't feel connected to my Judaism. And the reason for that being is because when I do things in a remote way, I do things because, just because I grew up doing it. That's what I do. So you could put on tefillin every single day. You can go to shul and daven with a minyan. You're not going to feel connected, because in order to feel connected, you have to really put thought, effort into it. So a person that is completely not involved in thinking in Jewish thoughts or learning or doing any type of mitzvah, and then he comes to you and he says, look, I decided to give up my Judaism. And you ask him why, and he says to you, because it doesn't really talk to me. He's not realizing that he kind of is expecting something to work without putting any effort into it. He's expecting to feel a connection to his Judaism, to God, when he's not meant to, because he's throughout life allowed his desires, his body, make the decisions for himself on every single area. Now, I'm not saying our body doesn't make decisions for us, but if it makes our decisions on every single area, the chances are you're not going to feel any spirituality or any connection to your Judaism, because that is exactly the thing that distances you from that relationship. So it makes sense that when a person is at a music festival and partying away and going crazy, and then after doing that for 3-4 days and not doing anything meaningful throughout those 4 days and not having one normal conversation, which happens, he comes back after that and you say to him, "No, how's your Judaism?" He says, "To be honest, I don't feel any connection." Why would you feel a connection? You've been doing things that are so, the things that distance you completely from having that. Now, I'm not saying that I don't like partying. I love partying, even at this age, believe it or not. But at the same time, I understand that those are not the things that make my spirituality, makes me feel spiritual and connected and my Judaism thrive. That's not what makes it. That's maybe funner and everything, but it's not what develops my spirituality. So we're pointing this out to say, and this is what the Mesilat Yesharim is saying, these are the things that distance you from God. When you do things that are naturally desirable things, so you'll naturally be distant from God. That's what we're pointing out here. Okay, next.
The result is that one really finds himself planted in the midst of a fierce battle. For everything in this world, whether good or bad, is there to, all right, start that one again. The result is that one really finds himself planted in the midst of a fierce battle. For everything in this world, whether for good or bad, is there to test man. Poverty on the one hand, wealth on the other. This is similar to what Shlomo said, Shlomo HaMelech, lest I become satiated and deny him, saying, who is the eternal? Unless I become impoverished and steal and misuse the name of God. Tranquility on the one side and suffering on the other. The person thereby finds himself at war, both in front of him and in the rear.
Right. So he's ending off with saying, if that's the situation, that we live in a world where we're going to be challenged, that means that everyone is challenged. Everyone has challenges. And this is a fascinating thing, because everyone sits in their own little world and thinks, oh, I have challenges. You know, I have a certain way I was brought up, or I have certain friends, or I have certain things in my life that are challenging me in this world. If it's with happiness, if it's with connection, if it's with dealing with my parents, you know, my parents are the hardest parents to deal with, or my parents, whatever it is. Everyone thinks that their situation is a challenge, and if they would just be in a different situation, things would be much better. And that's a tremendous mistake, because in this world, everyone is in a battle. Everyone has their private battle, their private challenge. If you're poor, there's a challenge of being poor. If you are rich, there's a challenge with being rich, because a poor person has a problem. He goes and he needs to get stuff. So then he's challenged with not stealing or not cheating or not lying in business and things like that, because he's really he's desperate, and desperate people do desperate things, right? So when someone is desperate, they do stupid things sometimes just to try and figure out how to survive. So they go and steal, and they're not honest, and they're not, you know, and things like that. So that's a challenge of a person that's poor. Then the rich person also has his challenges, because he's rich, and then he thinks, oh, everything is going for him great, and I don't need God. I'll tell you an example of a challenge for a rich person that I realized. There's a boy, he's about 26, 27-year-old, and he comes from one of the richest families in Melbourne, Jewish families in Melbourne. And I'm pretty close to him. And we were sitting and talking, and he was working very hard on his business, and he's really, you know, trying hard, and it's not easy and so on. And I was thinking to myself, he has this tremendous pressure on him. And I was trying to think, what's this pressure? I mean, the guy has, if he doesn't work for another day, he'll be fine. He doesn't have to work for the rest of his life. His family has so much money. But I realized that this guy wants to be successful for his own right, on his own right. He wants to be a person that, he doesn't want just to be a guy that, he wants to be a person that achieved something. So for us to get a normal job, which we get a few dollars an hour, is already good. We're happy with that. But if we are taking a job example where if he takes a job where he gets a few dollars an hour, for him that won't be good enough, because he doesn't need to make $50,000, $60,000 a year. That's not worth it for him to work. He's actually achieving nothing. So he's trying to really be successful in life. And for him to be successful means to make it big. To make it big means to bring in tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars eventually. He's trying to build a business. So he wakes up in the morning with this tremendous burden on him, not just, oh, I'll get a normal job, I'll work for a few years, and then maybe I'll start some business. No, he's starting at the age of 26, 27, trying very hard to make a living for him, to be successful, not make a living, to be successful. And that creates a tremendous pressure. So I'm just showing that as an example of, here you have a rich guy, and it's not easy for him, right? So we have to realize that each one has their challenge where there's difficulty. Some people have it easy in life, so they're just chilled, and life just goes by. Other people are suffering. So you think, oh, the guy that has it easy and doesn't suffer, then it's all good. But then those people are not driven. They don't try. They're not capable of dealing with with challenging situations, and anything that comes their way already destroys their life. With a person that's used to suffering and used to difficulties, when something comes their way, they're okay, they can survive on it. So each one has their qualities and things that they gain throughout their challenges, and each one will have their challenge in their world. Make sense? Any questions on that? Silence in the audience. Okay, great. So that's I think the idea he's making here is that a person has to realize that and know that he's gonna always have, whichever turn you take, there's always gonna be a new challenge coming your way. A new challenge coming your way. I remember as a kid growing up, one more example, then we'll continue inside. When I was in school, I was waiting to get out of school. I thought, school is so hard. Wait till I get out of school. Then you get out of school, you go to, in my case, I went to yeshiva and learned in a yeshiva. So I said, you can't wait to get to the high school. It's much better. It's freedom. Then you get to that. You say, I'm so excited. I can't wait to get married. Then a person we always think that the next step in our life is going to be so much more enjoyable and so much. A person has to learn that in every situation you are, there's going to be challenges, and enjoy the world you're in and grow in your status, in your situation you're in, grow in your environment that you're in, because that's where you are right now, and that's where you can achieve your growth. And every situation in your life is going to have some element of challenge to it that you're going to have to deal with. There's people sometimes that try to escape challenges, so they'll move, or they will get divorced very quickly, or they will move from their school to a different school or very quickly. I'm not saying there's no room for that. There's definitely room for those things. But many people will go to that very quickly because they think if they run away from that situation, things will be better. And then you'll find that they can move from 6 different schools, or they will be married 3 different times, or they will, constantly being in different relationships, because they don't realize that you can't run away from the problems. You have to take care of the problems. And when people try and run away from problems, they find themselves meeting the problem again and again and again, or even new ones, but they never know how to deal with issues, so that's something a person has to learn to develop, to deal with the situation and understand that challenges, that's part of growth in life, and that's part of what we experience. Okay, Josh, any questions? By the way, you can always pop up and ask a question. Okay, go Josh, next.
If he is valiant and wins a total victory in this war, he will have perfected himself, and he will be able to cleave to the Rabbi Shalom. He will then leave the corridor and enter the palace. Fascinating. Permeated with the glow of life. That's a huge sentence, Ralph. All right, fine. No, it's serious. Okay, yeah. And to the degree that he has conquered his evil inclination desires and withdrawn himself from those factors that distance him from what is good, and has striven to cleave to him, to that extent he will attain his goal and can find joy within it.
Okay. So he's pointing out here that if a person is successful in this war, we just pointed out that there's always going to be challenges. But when a person is successful in these challenges and he's able to fight it properly, and he's able to grow and become more aware of himself and more aware of what he's good at, and do it better and do what he feels is the right thing to do, a person is slowly entering himself into a completely different world. He's entering into a world of light in life, and he's distancing himself from his desires. Now, people, the way we look at it is, if I held back from eating ice cream, or I held back from having a chocolate cake, or I held back from some sort of desire that I had, then I suppressed myself. But that's not the way the Mesilat Yesharim is pointing it out. Obviously, Torah is that when a person holds back from a desire, he's not suppressing himself, he's rather liberating himself, because he's making himself more in control to do what he thinks is the right thing to do. So he liberates himself, because when you turn around to a person and you ask him, do you want to be healthy? Yes. do you not want to eat this ice cream? And the answer will be, no, I don't want to eat ice cream. I like ice cream, but I don't want to eat it. I know it's better for me not to eat it. I don't want to eat it. So why do you eat it? I couldn't control myself. So we understand that desires is something that we try and deal with, and sometimes we give into it, and that's when we say to ourselves, I couldn't control myself. And a person has to realize that the more we take control of that, the more liberated we are, not the more we oppress ourselves. It's a famous thing, but the Torah points this out constantly, that's our job, to liberate ourselves more and more from our desires and bad inclinations. God forbid, when someone has an affair in a marriage, while they're married, they're going to have an affair, and then they get caught and their life turns upside down, and you turn around and you say to the guy, for 5 minutes of pleasure, you gave up your relationship with your children, you gave up a marriage that was going, a home, everything. Why did you give it up for 5 minutes? And he says, I was stupid. I couldn't control myself. That's, if he's honest, that's what he will tell you. I was stupid. I couldn't control myself. And I don't know what happened. I just didn't control myself. So you see, obviously the guy wanted it. He desired it. He enjoyed it. He wanted that thing. But the point is that he knew he didn't want it, because it wasn't worth, the pleasure wasn't worth the cost. And it's not what he believes is the right thing to do. But his desire pulls a person to do that. And there's so many people that fail and fall and give in to their desires, because we don't train on controlling them. We have to constantly focus and realize that the more we control our desires, the more we say, okay, this is what I'm doing, this is not what I'm doing, and so on, the more a person becomes liberated and takes control of his life and feels greater about himself. And like we said, he gets the glow of life. He's full of life, a person like that. You can see people that are driven and wake up and are productive and do things in a productive way and think through what they're doing, and don't just go and slander about others, and don't just go and party whenever. Obviously they do it, but not with the right mindset and the right way about it. Those people are happier people. They might not seem to be enjoying life as much, but the honest truth is they're enjoying life much more, because their life is productive, their life is meaningful, and they themselves are liberated much more than their friends are, much more than other people are. So sometimes it doesn't look that way, but throughout life you find that slowly you see that the real success comes from that approach of a person controlling things, and then he feels more and more liberated.
It goes even deeper though.
What?
It goes even deeper.
Yeah.
He says the page before, he says that's the whole ikar of the main, I don't know the word I'm looking for, is the essence of life is to connect to the creator, because that's, I guess, the epitome of authenticity. And he talks about how, like, the key to, because this world's a corridor to the next, the way to get through and transpire through this corridor is by not by what's the word? I don't know how to speak English. By submissing.
Yeah, go for it.
By suppressing is what I'm looking for. By suppressing desires. So the whole ikar of connecting to Hashem.
Yeah, but I think when someone says suppress, they think that suppressing is it has a bad understanding, right? Suppressing sounds like you should not suppress yourself, because you're not allowing to express yourself, right? Suppressing one is not allowing himself to express himself. We use that in many ways, in a negative way.
So go to battle is probably the better one. Meaning you have to overcome. Why do you overcome? Meaning overcoming to the point where you think, you decide, you consciously decide, you evaluate, you struggle, etc. And then you overcome. And that's how you effectively, like the Mesilat Yesharim saying, Shadia, that's how you connect to Hashem. Right,
for sure. So that's what we're saying. We're saying the way to connect, and we keep pointing this out. What does it mean, connection with God? The connection with God means when a person is connected with himself, he will be more connected to God. The more you connect with yourself, the more you connect with God. The less you connect with yourself, the less you're aware of what you're saying and how you speak and how you behave to others, the less you're connected to God. The more a person is aware of himself and the more he's connected to himself, he knows how he's feeling, he knows what he's talking, he knows what he's looking at, he knows what, and he has complete and more control over that. The more he feels spiritual, the more he can connect to God. That's the way it works naturally. Because we are a part of God. That's what the Torah says, right? The Chumash says that God blowed into our nostrils part of him. Chelek Eloka, we're part of God. So that happens. So the more I'm connected to myself, the more I'm a part of God. I'm connected to God. And you see, naturally, that's how it works. The people that are completely full of desires, I don't know, a person that's sitting in jail that did things that I don't want to even say. Such a person is a complete animal. He's a complete out of control human being. I'll give you one story about this, and we'll end with this because I see I'm running out of time. The following story.
No one has anywhere to be.
Yeah, but then they don't come back again when I do it too long. Okay, so Chelsea, you ready for this story? One last story.
I can't wait, Rabbi.
Okay, good.
Offside.
Okay, so the story is as follows. I had to go to court because I wasn't a criminal. I just okay. So no, for my friend, not for me. Anyways, so I went to court because I got a speeding ticket, 60 in the 50 zone, on the way to the airport, and the ticket went to my old address which I moved a few months ago. So it went to 11 Salisbury Street. And the ticket went to, the car is under Orsom. So it's a ticket of $3,000 till you remove it, till you designate a driver. Once you designate a driver, it goes down to 200. So the time has passed of designating a driver because it kept going to my old address. And therefore, I had to go to court to designate a driver. So I went to court, and he said to me that if there's a video hookup beforehand, like a Zoom, like right now, then you cannot, that goes before you. Otherwise, you will get your turn based on how early you came. So I was sitting there, and sure enough, a lawyer lady walks in by the name of Nomi. And she speaks to the prosecutor, and she says to the prosecutor, I want to push it off for a month. So I want to push it off. So the prosecutor says, I'm going to be here next month. I don't mind. You can push it off to next month. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I wonder the video hookup, the client wasn't there. So I said, maybe he's in Singapore, maybe he's in China, maybe he's in America, I don't know, the USA, he's probably far away and he can't make it, and that's why he's getting a video hookup. So the video hookup comes up. The name of the guy was Mr. Baker. And Mr. Baker was in prison clothing, sitting behind bars, and you could see prison guards standing behind him. He's on video. Tattoos around him like that on his neck, and the judge says, okay, what is he in for? And they say, what's the word to use? Homicide, which means killing, right?
Good guy though.
Yeah, so homicide. So I'm like, whoa. And then he says, okay, what do you want? He said, we want to push it off for a month. So I want to push it off for a month. That's fine. Okay, is he out on bail? No. So he says, great, no problem. Next. So it was literally like maybe 20 seconds. Then I get up. Oh, so what do you want? I said, I got a driving ticket. Okay, fine, not a problem. See you later. I also was like literally 20 seconds. So I'm walking out of the court, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy in prison is probably closer to the court than I am. I live in Caulfield. This guy is probably in the jail, which is called the MAP, which is in the city. It's the place where they go before they get their sentence. So he's probably closer than I am to the place. So I was thinking to myself, why didn't he let him, why does he get a video hookup? Why doesn't they open up the jail? They say to him, okay, go to your court case and come back here when you're done. You know, you go there. It's about 5-minute walk. You walk there and then come back. And the answer is, don't be stupid. You know, he's a criminal. He's on a homicide. The guy you can't just let him walk like a free man on the street like you are. So yes, you live more further away, but you are a free man to walk around. This guy is not. And the reason he's not is because he's an animal. He's a person that, like, you wouldn't have a lion walk on the street or a dingo, because they can attack people. They can kill a person. They can attack him. They can bite. Same with this guy. You can't just let him walk around the street to the court and sit there and then come back. Thank God he was on video and he wasn't there. I would be, I wouldn't be comfortable sitting with a homicide in the courtroom, right? So the point is, you see this tremendous thing. A human that is not in touch with himself, and he's not taking care of himself, and he's allowing his body to take control completely. And when he gets angry, he just acts with anger. The problem with that is that under that circumstance, a person completely loses himself and he's not a human anymore and becomes an animal. And if we do control our desires and we do fight with them and we do things that are right and the things that we know we should be doing, even though we don't feel like doing it, even though our friends might laugh at us, even though people might disagree with us, whatever it is, but we know this is good for me. I'm happier like this. I know I feel I'm more productive. I feel more spiritual. If we do that, then we will achieve much, much higher levels. And that's I think the essence. Be a mensch, be a human, work hard on yourself because it's worthwhile in the end. And people that don't, unfortunately, end up in very, very, I'm giving a harsh circumstance, but I met many people that you don't have to get all the way to homicide. There's other things they did wrong that, unfortunately, if they would take their life a little bit more into their hands and do what they should be doing, they would be more connected to God. And obviously they would have, things would be in a better situation in which they are at this stage. Okay, shkoyach everyone for joining.
Rabbi, can I ask a ridiculous question given that we're about to wrap up now?
Yeah.
And hopefully it'll last into tomorrow, also knowing that I have to go. But pose a question, being the Ramchal's giving us this amazing morsel, telling us we have to, I guess, make a decision between what the right thing to do and what the wrong thing to do is. But at any given point in time, it's all relative given context. How are we therefore meant to know what the objectively right thing to do at that point in time in context is? Meaning two options may both be good.
Meaning you have two options, either to do this good thing.
Ramchal's made it sound very simple. He's using extreme examples to make his point, which makes the point easier. But in life, I guess it works very differently.
I think the point is that no one always could get do the right thing all the time, but we have to try at least not let that what makes the decisions in our life be only based on our desires. Meaning, this is how I feel. This is what I want to live my life in such a way. We have to try and allow our decisions to be also made through using our intellect, through using our emotional, what's it called? Intellectual soul. Yeah. Intellectual soul, which means don't make decisions only with your body. I think that's what the Ramchal is pointing out. And yes, doesn't mean that every decision is going to be black and white, but it means that at least in my decisions, they're not driven only by a physical desire. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Any questions? Ricky, any question? Who is this?
Rabbi.
Who's Adana? Who is this? Adina. Adina. My daughter's name is Adina. Okay. Shkoyach for joining, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day. All the best. Bye.
All right, bye.
Rav,
Yes.
wait, it's recording. I'll tell you later.
Wait, I'll turn. Stop.